All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the YP Symposium. For those of you not familiar with YP, that stands for Young Professional. Our first session today is Engineering the Future of Consulting Engineering. My name is Michael Walker. I'm from Canada, and I work for McElhenney Consulting Services. Thank you for attending on behalf of the YPs. Your presence here today means a lot to us. To bring greetings from FIDIC, Dr. Nelson Ugunchakan, FIDIC CEO, wishes to say a few words on behalf of the young professionals. He's a great supporter of young professionals and an advocate for progress. And some of his earlier discussions today really resonate with the YPs, and I think there's a lot of opportunity. So, Dr. Nelson.
Thank you very much, Michael. For me, the world of FIDIC goes back 15 years, and it's always amazing when you think about the power of the young one. When I was asked to come and say a few words, I wonder, what else can I say about the great things that you guys are doing? But I think what was very resonant with me was looking at the future of the consulting engineer and what is the role that the young ones do. First of all, on behalf of the FIDIC board and the executive, we have to use the two words together, and the entire, director and secretary, I just want to say congratulations on the excellent job that you've been doing, particularly under the leadership of Jamila, which I think has been absolutely outstanding over the last 12 months. I came into my role less than 2 months ago. I think I've been overwhelmed by the level of communication and the output and all the work that has been done. Very professional, very pristine, and really down to deliverables, which from my point of view are the key thing to the future success of our industry. We call it YP. I'm not so sure whether we should reconsider what that title means, because you are really the leaders of tomorrow. Whether it's emerging leadership or emerging professional, I think we need to think about that. From where I stand, I've seen quite a lot of work that you guys are doing, and it's outstanding to actually think we spend a lot of time at the DNS, which is where I've been for the last 14 years, thinking about what we're going to do. When in fact, you guys see the challenge, you take it up, you just come up with the solution without the issue about who's going to do it. There is a clear strategy, there's a clear output, and there's a clear deliverable. And all that, to me, very, very impressive. Looking into the future, you probably heard over the last few days that we've been talking about how do we make FIDIC fit for the future. Some of the groups are actually finished earlier on to talk about committees. And I asked the question, why don't we get our YP actually be an integrated part of what we do, from the governance side all the way to what we deliver? Not only do we need to consider you in what you do, but actually integral part of our member association, the regional groupings, and even at the board level. In my ward, I think there is a role to be there. I can't be very contentious, I can't be very controversial, but actually what I've seen in the last few months, I've seen a positive feedback under the leadership of the president, where when I was in Lima, we had a YP representative. That was very good. I hope that we continue that momentum. In my conversation with Joanna, I suggested in the annual report of the FIDIC, we should have a session that deal with the YP, that actually talked about what you've done, what you've achieved, and your contribution. There's always a danger sometimes to look at things in isolation. I believe strongly in a sort of strategic approach. I believe strongly in a holistic approach, and I believe some of the subjects I will be talking today are very much may sound that a bit of jigsaw puzzle for different things, but collectively they add together to make what you are aiming to do a bankable outcome. So please don't get confused by the way they're going to approach their presentation. They've tackled it from different angles. And really, when you join them together, it is a thoroughly thoughtful, approach to the delivery of what they want to do. I am a great advocate of the young professional. and I will strongly, support every director and secretary here. If you do not have a YP within your organization, you're missing a trick. Because from where I spent 14 years in UK, we call it Progress Network, and I'll be encouraging them to consider a different name. The Progress Network are very vibrant. They're everywhere within UK. Things that we can't do, they just get on and they do it. No break whatsoever. And I think that's very, very important. But sometimes we spend a lot of time debating and we're trying to find the word perfect solution, when in fact the YP just said, we're going to do it. It may not be perfect, but we give it a go anyway. And we do a version 1 and version 2 and version 3. So I've seen some of your report with version 1, version 2, version 3, which shows an incremental development. And I want to encourage you to do that. Because any attempt to aim for word perfect from day one is actually an enemy of progress. I believe in a position where you're prepared to do a number of iterations to find the solution that you want. Because the world that we are living in, really, we're getting a lot of disruptive technology. And those people who come up with the idea, they never get it to work perfect from day one. But the vision and the aspiration they have in actually making it work and try to get work perfect is what actually gives you opportunity to make the positive change. I'm not going to take too much of your time. I will join your panel, and I will try and do the best to try and address any issue. I just want to leave you with one thought. The future that we have is not so much of the majority of the people here. It's down to you. If you look across here, and you probably can't see a lot of gray hair in mine, there's plenty of it up there. I have been around. Likewise, most of the people around have been around. What we need is to make sure that we engage with our young professional as the biggest advocate of what FIDIC and what the Consulting Engineering stood for. When I look at your communication strategy and what you put in place and how influential you are, sometimes I think I should just turn the federation down to the YP and just take it over and run it, because I'm so impressed with what you do. And I've said it in my statement again and again, that for us to ignore the YP, we ignore the YP at our own peril. Not only do we need to bring them across, because they come up with fresh ideas, fresh thinking. They have no boundary. They are not inhibited by issues that we think about it, is it right, not right. They think true, they act true. And actually, you don't get something, they come up with best product. So I just want to leave you with that thought. Your conversation, your debate, please progress with what you're doing. We need you in FIDIC, and I'm sure your individual MA needs you. But more important, we need you at the regions as well. So on behalf of FIDIC President and the EC, I would like to say thank you for all that you are doing, and please continue to do that. And I will sit as part of your panel to try and address any question you can. Thank you very much.
Wonderful. Thank you, Dr. Nelson. As noted, the YPFSC, which is the Young Professional Forum Steering Committee, has had a very busy and productive 2018 under the leadership of our outgoing chair, Jomana. She told me earlier today, approximately 1,100 to-do items on her list have been crossed off. There is a document in front of you on your table. I would encourage you to look through that. There's been some reports, some very good items in there. Again, if you have young professionals here, get them to read this. If you don't, take it home with you, and there's some excellent items in there. So I will introduce Jomana. She's from Jordan. She is the outgoing chair, as I noted. She is a senior lead engineer and project manager at Arab Tech Jordana in Jordan. Jomana is an active young professional in FIDIC since 2011. She is the YPFSC chairperson since September 2016, working actively in a YP role and reflecting the spirit and point and views of the FIDIC community. She is also a member of the FIDIC Risk, Liability and Quality Committee and subcommittee member for Sustainable Development and Contract Committees. Jomana is a senior lead engineer in the Water and Environment Division. She holds an MBA and BSc in Civil Engineering. She's certified in Project Management, PMP, GMBP, Carbon Reduction and GHG Manager, Six Sigma Green Belt, and Trainer of Trainers. Joanna has about 15 years of significant experience in working in different aspects of consultancy services through being an integral part of many large and distinctive infrastructure projects in the MENA region. Sorry. Through her work as a senior project manager and wet infrastructure lead engineer, she also has extensive knowledge in contracts based on different modules, quality management, environmental, and sustainability fields. So please join me in welcoming Joanna to present her reflection on 2018.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for attending the second Younger Professionals Symposium. I'm very proud for the second year to present the Younger Professional Forum Steering Committee progress. For this year, I will report the activity from October 2017 up to date. My presentation is based on three parts. The first part is for general overview and background information about the Younger Professional Forum. After that, I will talk about our activities and milestone, and at the end, I will mention ways to support the YPs. As part of the first part, which is the background information, the Younger Professional Forum vision is to promote and empower the younger professionals within FIDIC community to participate effectively in shaping the future of the consulting engineers. The Young Professional Forum began as an initiative in 2011 and was established officially in 2004. There is a lot of objective for this forum. The main objective is related to introduce FIDIC goals, vision and role for the YPs, provide the YPs with real opportunity to participate effectively in FIDIC community in long term, empower and support the YPs, help in facilitating the communication, networking, and the international exposure. The Young Professional Forum is led by a committee of the YPs, which is called the YPF Steering Committee. Here is the Young Professional Forum Steering Committee for 2018. We have 24 members from 21 countries. Here is the distribution, the geographic distribution. We have 2 from North America, 2 from Latin America, 6 from Africa, 6 from Europe, and 8 from Asia. I would like to take this opportunity to thank each member of the steering committee for all the effort, the time, and the commitment they have put during the last year. Thank you all. The Young Professional Forum Steering Committee is progressing based on a work plan, annual work plan that is agreed by all members, which is a reflection to our business plan, which including our vision, mission, goals, and values. I tried to categorize and classify our activity, so I think it's, I can mention it within 6 areas. So we have, So the first area is related to communication. The YPs worked on the newsletter. We have our own newsletter. Also, we have our social media pages. We have a blog within FIDIC website, and we are managing our website, which is part of FIDIC website. In terms of communication, we have a very strong relation with the YPF of ASPAC, GAMA, FIPAC, FCA, and WIFU. In terms of involvement and being an active part of FIDIC, we tried during last year to work in different initiatives. So, for example, we worked on analyzing the conference attendees data. We provide ideas to increase the attendance of the FIDIC annual conference. We are part of different committee in FIDIC, and we provide support to the Younger Professional Management Training Program. In terms of internal management, we have subcommittees working on updating our business plan. We do this yearly. We have regular meeting. There is monthly meeting for all members in addition to special meeting depending on the task forces. We work on the budget, on the membership. We have our own database. In terms of working on the annual conference, FIDIC annual conference, we worked on different activity to present the YPs. The last area is related to the YPs development. The YPF Steering Committee working on different initiatives, including the mentorship program, sharing knowledge, webinar, booklet, and others. Now I will highlight or discuss in details some initiative that I think it was a milestone during last year. The first one is related to the YP's activity in Berlin. On yearly basis, we worked on the session that is managed by the YPs, including this session, the YP Symposium. We have on Tuesday the first Future Leader Outlook, so we would like to see you all to attend our session. We arranged the technical tour, meet and greet. There is different meeting during the conference. We did a special survey for the conference to reflect the young professional point of view, and we do the social media coverage. The Young Professionals Award was an initiative by the YPs in 2015, and it was approved. This year is the third year, and we help in updating the term of reference in the promotion and the distribution. The winner of the YPs Award will be announced tomorrow during the gala dinner. We have a newsletter that started in 2007. During last year, we issued two issues. We have the 27th and the 28th. In this newsletter, we try to cover the FIDIC events, to provide reports about these events, and to have articles from YPs from all over the world. Also, we have a blog since last year, which is managed also by the YPF Steering Committee. During last year, we post around 30 articles and posts. The Young Professional Steering Committee is managing 3 main pages on Facebook and LinkedIn. Also, we're supporting FIDIC official pages. During last year, we worked on having some campaign to share what is happening in FIDIC. So, for example, we covered Jakarta, FCA, ASPAC, World Urban Forum, and FIDIC contract user in London. I believe that all events related to FIDIC was covered during last year. This is one of the most important, I think, initiative during last year. The YPF Steering Committee understand the importance of the annual conference for the consulting engineering industry. So we did a study and we analyzed the data for the conference participant from 2008 till 2017. The report was issued in 2 versions, in May and June 2018, and it focused on 2 main dimensions, the geographic and the economic dimension. It's already published and distributed. This is also one of the important initiatives. It's related to the YPF Career Mentorship Program. This idea or initiative was approved by the EC in May 2018. Currently, we are working on updating the term of reference, and we are thinking of doing like a pilot project to know the challenges and consider it before applying the mentorship program 100%. As a continuation to our cooperation with the Young Professional Management Training Program Mentors, last year we did a survey that was targeted the participant of the program. This year we target the sponsor or the employer who sent the YPs to attend this program. This report was issued in August 2018, and it was prepared by Michael. Thank you, Michael. As part of this initiative, we work on having an automated membership system that allow all YPs from all over the world just to enter the FIDIC website and be part of our community. The idea was approved by the EC in May 2018, and we are working now on the term of reference and what benefit can be provided. We worked on YPF Steering Committee alumni policy. It was approved by the EC in May 2018, and we recognized the effort of exceptional members during 2017, the former YPF Steering Committee members. For the second year, we issued the YP's conference booklet, which is called The Reflection of the YPs. In this booklet, we have 16 articles from 15 countries. And we did a call for paper, then we agree on the paper, and we issued this booklet. Also, we have the YP's reference document guideline. This document was, I believe, the first edition was in 2013. This document is to document the experience of the different YPF chapters and groups from all over the world to help the other YPs to know how to start their chapters. During this year, we updated the document and issued the fourth edition. We continue our work to have a strong relation with the different YPs. So we have so the chair of ASPAC YPF and the chair of Gamma YPF is a member in our committee. Also, we have a representative from both FIPAC and FCA in our committee. We have two members. I'm proud that during last year we have two active and exceptional members from Latin America, that they are helping us to have a strong local YPs and regional YPs in Latin America. Here is some photo for the YPs during their attendance to the different activity related to the FIDIC. So we were part of Gamma, ASPAC, the Symposium in Lima, FCA, World Urban Forum, the FIDIC contract user. This is just an example. We cover other events. Through the attendance of the YPs, we do the social media coverage. We prepare a special report about these events, and we share knowledge within our committee. This is before I start with how to support us, I think I need to thank FIDIC EC, FIDIC management, and the committee, and everyone in FIDIC for the support and the help for the YPF steering committee. Thank you all. And we think, and here is some idea that I believe it's important to keep the momentum of the YPF steering committee. It's through the support and the mentorship. The involvement in FIDIC, having YPs in the different events, conferences, task forces, and initiative. I believe that the YPs is a real agent that could help in achieving the integration and the coordination between the different committees and task group. I believe that all need to support the YP's presence and development on company level, on local level, regional and international level. I believe applying the concept of the YPF on company level is very important because it helps in the advancement of this idea. We would like to encourage the financial support of the YPs by the member association and the member firm. And we would like you to attend our activity and provide valuable comment and feedback. This is the last part of my presentation. I'm glad to announce that by the end of this conference, my friend, colleague, and YPF steering committee member since 2015 and the vice chair for the last 2 years, Cosmin Tobolja, will be appointed as the new chairperson for the YPF steering committee. I'm sure that you will provide him with great support to continue the development and the advancement of the YPF steering committee. Best of luck, Cosmin. Thank you all for your time, attention, and best of luck for every one of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Jomana. Your efforts could not be understated in your organization and your encouragement to the YPs, so an excellent job to you. Now to start the presentations for our session, I believe it's important to set the stage. We have a number of different subjects here, but Jomana challenged me with trying to pull together these very, very different topics. And reading some of Dr. Nelson's publications, I kind of borrowed a few ideas as well as from some of the presenters here. So what we're trying to say in this session is the status quo is no longer acceptable. to break away from the way we've always done it, we need behavioral change across a number of factors in our industry, not single pieces. The 5 speakers before you, that end, will now present on very, very different subjects. Each by itself is only a piece of the puzzle, but intricate and complex relationships exist between them, impacting our industry, but also providing great opportunity for those who can overcome the challenges. Therefore, without wholesale change in our approach to all of these items, and we're going to talk about sustainability, staffing, how we design and manage our projects, and the inclusion of technology in projects, we will never achieve our full potential. So the status quo is holding us back. With better data regarding our designs, our projects, and our people, we can better track the impacts of our choices, both in the past and in the future. We can maximize our valuable time, our effort, and the creativity of the people that we work with, and reduce the wasted potential. Thus, we can influence a positive effect on our industry, which I believe why we're all here. This will result in the betterment of society, and that, again, I think is why we're here. So without further ado, we are going to say that we will banish a number of things here and bring in a new way of building. So to start us off, we'll banish the status quo from the way we move. So I will do a quick bio here. Yolan Pillay will talk to us. He's a professional registered engineer from South Africa with 10 years experience in planning, management, design, and implementation of a variety of transportation projects. He is currently completing his studies towards his master's in engineering and transportation. Yolan is passionate about public transportation, non-motorized transport, and traffic modeling. Yolan specializes in traffic engineering and transportation planning with a strong focus on strategic transportation projects, integrated transport plans, smart mobility, and innovation in transport. So I'll hand over the stage here.
Thank you, Michael. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, colleagues of the industry. Thank you for blessing us on your Sunday morning. As we've mentioned previously, we are the future, so we also require your support in helping us developing our future together. My topic for today is on sustainability and innovation in urban mobility. I think it's quite a mouthful in terms of the topic. There's various aspects within my topic itself. So I'd like to take us through in terms of the topic, in terms of what does urban mobility mean to us? What is sustainability and innovation? In terms of understanding how we move forward in this sphere, we need to understand what are the current challenges that we face, not just as within our regions, but as at the international level. We also need to understand in terms of the future predictions and future scenarios, because that will help us to develop sustainable and innovative solutions to our transport or mobility problems. And I think, as we heard throughout the morning, is that we are going through a change. We need to understand, we need to accept that we're going through this change, and we need to understand, are we ready for this disruption? So if you look at mobility, what is mobility? I think for us, it's a need for individual to move from one place to another, and it's generally for a particular reason. And that reasons, I think, affect all of us. It's either to travel from home to work, to school, or for shopping, or whatever other reasons we may have. In terms of urban mobility, I think urban mobility is more than a trip for us. It's a system. It's a system that satisfies the needs of a transport user. And the transport system is made up of multiple facets. I think what grounds us in terms of the mobility is the policy and the regulatory framework that guides this transport system. The transport system is made up of obviously the bulk infrastructure, the roads, the rail facilities, etc. But I think also the fleet that we that helps move people from point A to point B. I think in any aspects, be it mobility, the water environment, we need some form of management as people. So the transport sector or the mobility sector also needs that management. Therefore, we have traffic management that pulls the system together. And I think we all face with a problem back in our regions, the finance aspects of it. It's good enough to implement a system and have the finance to implement a system. However, the challenge that we face across the globe is operation and management of the system to ensure that the systems are sustainable. I think if you look at the urban mobility as an aspect, the transport system is an integrated system. It's a system that's made up of multiple modes, from non-motorized transport, we have public transport, private cars, and there's various aspects that make up this integrated transport system. We need to ensure that the system that we provide is not just infrastructure, but it's a system that is efficient, reliable, safe. I think it also needs to be affordable, not just for the provider, but also for the user as well. If you look at urban mobility and where we've come from and where we're going to, in the early 1900s, if you look at an urban area, we could almost picture that urban area comprised of multiple aspects, from people walking, cycling, we had trams, we had horse and carts. But then we went through a phase in the western areas where there was a substantial evolvement over the past 50 years in the early interest of catering for the growing private car usage. And this we supported through the bulk provision of road expansions. In the eastern countries, we see large cities with a real mix of modes, from private cars, rickshaws, tuk-tuks, trains, you name it, and they're all demanding for their rightful space in that road network. Congestion and the lack of parking facilities or other supporting mechanisms, this exacerbate the problem that we see in the cities. Many of the cities around the world, Americas, Europe, the Middle East, are all trying to search for new forms of transport solutions. And I think rightfully so, looking at it in context with land use as well. So we need to watch the space for this. Smart cities, smart mobility, these are not just buzzwords, but it's happening around us. I think we can also agree that, the way that the cell phone took over our world, we almost didn't know that it didn't exist before. Similarly, in terms of mobility, smart mobility and innovation, it'll be upon us before we know. The current emphasis around the globe in the mobility aspect is looking at reducing the car usage, cutting back on road provision, and also encouraging sustainable travel and promoting livable cities with a high quality of life. If you look at the cities in developing countries, their population is growing at a fast rate. The number of cities in China that have population over 1 million is close to 250, and in India, 180. When you consider the growth of population, the growth of cities, and the challenges that in terms of poverty, then sustainable transport in the context of both environment and the economy becomes extremely important. Otherwise, the poorest of the poor will actually spend more than 50% of the income to travel from home to work on a daily basis. And I think it becomes not just unsafe and unhealthy for them individually, but for a mobility system as a whole. So if you look at sustainability and how do we provide sustainable solutions, I think we have to take a step back, understand what is the problem or the challenges that we face in our system. If you look at, we're looking at increasing population, that's across the globe. We're looking at rapid urbanization. Some cities are becoming dispersed in terms of the old CBDs are not the main attraction, and new CBDs are actually forming across countries. We're looking at where there's a trend in certain countries to actually own a vehicle, and the private car usage is maybe looking at it as a status complexion. Non-motorized transport used to be one of the main modes of travel. However, that has changed over the few decades. If you look at an urban area, it's quite built up, and for us to actually provide bulk mobility, the cost of procuring land or acquiring land to provide this bulk infrastructure is becoming quite expensive. I think on the other aspect of mobility, we see in a lot of the countries crashes, impacts in terms of the high social costs that we face. And with the growing population and the growing need to be mobile, we've seen a lot of congestion in cities, which accounts for one of the highest impacts in terms of the negative environment impacts in terms of emissions from vehicles. If you look at our population itself, around 99 we had about 6 billion people. By 2050 we're almost going to, we estimate to have 10 billion people on this earth. In the 1950s we had about 30% of our people living in urban areas. And by 2050 we're almost predicting to have 67% of people living in urban areas. That's equivalently the entire population of today moving to the cities. By 2050, India will project to add another 400 urban dwellers. China, probably close to 300 million, and Nigeria, 200 million. By 2030, the world is expecting to have 41 megacities. A megacity is where we have more than 10 million people in the urban area. So I think in that context, we are faced with a challenge, but we are also faced with opportunities in terms of how we then improve the mobility for our countries. If you look at sustainability, I think it's not a new thing. Countries have been doing it for a long time. A typical example is in our South America. Sustainable transport solution is not a short-term thing. It's done over a long period. I think we need proper planning and implementation of these projects. If you look at around the globe, people are looking back at South America in terms of how they provided a sustainable transport solution. I think what we need to take from this is that transport is not a solution on its own. It complements the land use, and the land use also complements the transport system as well. So if you look at what is sustainability, we're looking at modes that would support sustainable transport: walking, using the bike, vehicles with eco-fuel, changing the mindset of driving in single car occupancy to multiple car occupancy, trying to use public transport and supporting public transport as well. So I think this is a picture that we all, most of us have seen before. But going back to my first slide is that mobility is the basic requirement to move an individual from one place to another. So we need to start looking at how we then implement the right mode for the right demand, but also take into account the existing infrastructure that we have. If you're looking at in terms of sustainable transport, the successful city of the 21st century will be replete with choices, including non-motorized transport, post-fossil fuel travel option. Citizens of the world do not want to sit in bumper-to-bumper traffic. They do not want to walk in mixed use, nor they want to feel threatened while traveling on a bike to work. They want to be in cities that provide for creative interaction, affordable living, and healthy environments. For that, we need various principles. We need to start walking more. We need to use fleets that are powered by people, electric scooters, e-bikes. We need to start using public transport. We need to support public transport rather than just supporting the use of private transport. We need to ensure that our land use complements our transport systems. We need to ensure that how we then start connecting the blocks in terms of how we identify cities that supports the mobility and makes it more feasible. Innovation. Innovation is truly, I think, truly a confusing buzzword which makes many people love to hate. Every business leader agrees that it is important, but nobody can actually quite agree what it actually means. If you ask Google for an innovation definition, I think you come up with a couple hundred kind of definitions. If you're going back to the Oxford Dictionary, I think that doesn't help much as well, because the definition, according to the dictionary, it says, make changes in something established, especially by introducing new methods or ideas. So I think we can agree that innovation is something that we need to work on in terms of, it's an idea taking an idea into a solution that adds value from a customer's perspective. I think innovation, when we start looking at innovation, we need to start looking at it in terms of how can we provide innovation solutions. I think I took you through some of the challenges that we face. So we're starting to see innovation coming through in terms of the resources. We're starting to see electric cars, autonomous vehicles coming through. And also in terms of people don't sit long hours from home to work, but now they want to actually work while traveling. So we have mobility as a service coming through. We got systems that were segregated from each other, the rail system, the bus system, etc. We now need to start having these systems well integrated through various aspects. Sustainability and innovation in urban mobility. So what does this mean to us? To achieve the main aim of creating a transparent system that meets the individual needs for a rapid, efficient, safe, and cost-effective movement of people and goods. I think that's something that we need to remember. It's not just people, but it's both. Cities need to implement effective alternatives, including alternative fuels, to conventional means of transport, and give way for the transition to a more responsible and less polluting mobility. Some of the aspects that help us achieve a sustainable and innovative mobility system or transport system is we need to integrate the land use and transport planning. We need to ensure that walking and cycling are our main modes of travel. Active mobility needs to be supported. We need to provide efficient, effective, and affordable public transport for the masses. We need to use mobility as a service that allows people to do other aspects while traveling to work. I think from an environmental aspect and resources, alternative fuels is coming more for demand for us. The e-hailing services, we start seeing that in terms of disruptive technology. And as I mentioned, the transit-oriented development, the land use and the mobility aspects complement each other. We've seen that in South America as a typical example. We need to start banking on smart data, big data, because in that aspect, we can understand why do people want to move, where do they want to move, and we can optimize our mobility systems for that. If you're looking at disruptive technology, I think this is something that we've seen before, or we heard before. So if you're looking at, we wanted to move from point A to point B, and we all aim to move by our individual cars. But the car industry has been disrupted. If you're looking at travel in the medium distance, we start seeing that car sharing is making up a large portion of our trips, where people share vehicles. We start seeing in the medium distance travel, people are starting to use ride-hailing services. And then within your smaller business areas or your precinct, we're starting to see that the electric vehicles, cycles are now becoming more important. And not just in your first and third world countries, but not just in your first world countries, but also in your third world countries as well. I think this is something I've looked at by company Siemens. So we've seen that it's not just the engineers that are actually working in our space, but we've been, other industries are actually starting to work within our built environment. So Siemens has developed an app where you can use your smartphone to actually calculate your best route from where you want to go. It helps you where your cell phone actually kind of lets you know when your train is arriving or your public transport is arriving. You can also then, when you get to work, help you to use alternate transports. There's no need for parking because you're using smart mobility. But also in the evening, if you don't want to go straight home and if you want to have a drink, you can actually change your mode of travel. So using smart mobility or innovation within our spheres is actually helping us to move from point A to point B much more easier. And innovation and sustainability is not something new in our sphere. If you look at Dubai, we have the driverless trains, we have apps that help us connect the multiple modes of travel. But also the way that we moved in terms of purchasing self-work contracts, we're now going to be moving into an era where we actually buy transport packages. For example, we could buy a package of transport in terms of 20 trips per month from home to work, where we have shared services, or we could rent a car for 8 days a month for our weekend travel. So the sphere in terms of buying a vehicle is changing. And the one line that I use, why buy a cow when all you need is milk? And similarly, why buy a car when all that you need is actually to move from point A to point B? we're starting to see the automotive industry adopting to this disruptive technology, that where vehicles can actually transform in how they've built. So you actually drive, and when you come into the city, the vehicles actually transform into a smaller space to allow you to park within dense areas. But we've seen in terms of the mobility is now connected in every aspect to our PCs, to our smartphones, that help us to provide a well-connected transport system. So if we're going back in terms of sustainability and innovation, many cities have created urban tolls that charge a fee for privately owned vehicles entering the city, and this promotes the pedestrianized streets or pedestrianized areas. We're starting to see shared cars where we're hoping to have reduced vehicles in congested areas or in peak commuting hours. We look at the bicycle as, our main form of travel within shorter distances. And the smart mobility is, I think, taking off quite rapidly. And as I mentioned previously, I think this will be on us before we even know. So I think just looking back in terms of sustainability and innovation, understanding the challenges that we face currently, but where the global context is moving in terms of rapid urbanization, rapid population growth. And I think what's quite clear is that in terms of the disruption, we've been disrupted by not just our industry, but the other industries that we haven't been working closely for. So I think we as young professionals working in the industry, we need to understand that we need to adapt to change. We need to be fluid in terms of thinking differently. So I think the question is, are you ready for change? Because the change is here. We either change or we die. Thank you.
Thank you, Yolan. Sorry, excuse me. So there we've seen how we move people. But if we were only hiring a certain amount of people, or not hiring the right people, not enabling to get that creativity as part of our firms, part of our designs, we would be putting ourselves at a disadvantage. So I'd like to introduce Dr. Elisa Macciaratini. There you go. It's my Italian. Who's from Italy. So I'll give a quick bio here. She is an architect and urban planner with a PhD in urban regeneration, working at Chaos Development Consulting since 2014. She is specialized in integrated urban development, slum upgrading, regional and urban planning, and participatory design, with work experience in more than 20 countries across Africa, Asia, Europe, and Latin America, as international consultant for multilateral development agencies, local governments, municipalities, and NGOs. From 2007 to 2015, Dr. Macciaratini was also engaged at the University of Rome and Perugia University as a lecturer in urban planning, architectural design, and mapping, and she is currently invited as a lecturer in various international universities. Since 2010, she chairs Interazioni Urbane, an Italian NPO composed by a team of young professionals, mainly female architects, aimed to reactivate abandoned public spaces and to develop processes of urban regeneration and social inclusion through participatory design. In 2015, she was awarded the President of the Republic of Italy, Sergio Mattarella, for her commitment demonstrated in the society and professional sectors of the Italian female society. In 2017, she was appointed as the Italian chairperson for the social innovation by the Women's Economic Forum, and in 2018, she received the WEF Global Award for Exceptional Women of Excellence. So quite the bio. So yes, please join me in welcoming her to talk about hiring practices and in particular women in engineering. Please.
Hello everybody, and thank you Michael for the presentation and for the excellent Italian pronunciation. And thank you, FIDIC, for inviting me to talk about women in engineering and for the young professional for organizing that. It's not a very simple topic, and I feel a big responsibility towards women architects and engineers today, so I'll do my best. But what's important, why it's so important to talk about it today and to talk about women in engineering? Because we have to achieve gender equality in the engineering sector, as gender equality, as stated by the UN, is not only a fundamental human right, but it's integral to achieving the Sustainable Development Goal. Yes, because we cannot build sustainable cities without excluding women during the process and the objective. But gender equality is a global and multidimensional goal touching different sectors as education, healthcare, work, and representation in political and economic decision. So even if during the last century a lot of progress has been made in the participation of women in the labor market, we are still facing main challenges. And there are three main goals, if you can summarize the situation in a global snapshot: an employment gap, a payment gap, and a gap in the leadership roles, so in achieving managerial position in our companies. But it's difficult also to find data because it's a big issue, the availability of data. So this is a global survey, but it's important to say that that less than 1 in 4 board members are women. Less than 1 out of 6 of all senior executives of the largest listed companies last year was female. And unlikely the situation in our sector is not better from the global snapshot. I'm sorry, but only 11% of architects and engineering are women. So as we can see here today, less than 10% maybe of you are women. And our payment is less, the woman gross early earning average, it's 20% below those of men. And there's this general statistic because, for example, in UK, it's added and other big companies of big architects arrive until 40% of gender pay gap. And in the leadership roles, is worse because just 10% of the highest ranking jobs are covered by women. So, and in Women in Architecture Review made a survey this year, and just 3 of the worst 10 biggest architecture firms are headed by women. So, as the Royal Academy of Engineering said last year, there is a proved serious issue of underrepresentation of women in engineering. And that's a big responsibility for FIDIC. Yes, for us, for you, as CEO and managing director of the biggest engineering companies of all the world, there is a serious issue to solve. There is a big opportunity and a big responsibility. As the FIDIC Code of Ethics states, the work of the consulting engineering industry is critical to the achievement of sustainable development of society and the environment. So if we are committed to quality, integrity and sustainability, as we said, we have to work on the sustainable goal number 5 and achieve gender equality in engineering sector. But the good news is that we started something. So I have to thank Ms. Mandana Kant, because 4 years ago she made a comprehensive research study that I found on the internet with a professional committee of 16 experts and presented at the FIDIC conference in Bali and to you at the biggest FIDIC conference in Rio. And from this study, she highlighted that there are main issues that I've summarized here. Briefly, we still have less opportunities in terms of recruiting, job training, supervising, and career progress, lower salary, job precariousness, lack of opportunity of being part of important decision-making process, participate in the meeting, being invited, less chance of being asked and heard during the meeting, lack of attention of our health, discrimination, direct or indirect, yes, from done by colleagues and or clients, and less recognition of work done and of authority. And it's important to underline that, because less recognition of work, it means less motivation to work, and less authority, it means less respect. So when I travel around Africa, for example, and the local representative of the Ministry of Urban Planning told me, Elisa, why you don't have children? Okay, I look at him and I say, I'm sorry, I love too much my work. And I don't understand, but the situation, as the key results of the study highlighted, it's very bad. Because engineering consultant is a male-dominated sector. It's a reality. We know that. It's something cultural, maybe something religious. There are a lot of opinion on that and a lot of motivation. The good news is that there is a growth of women engineers' participation in the industry, but there is still a position and salary discrimination as emerged from a lot of survey they made with Mandana. The study of Mandana, employees, this is an interesting data, that the employees are more aware of gender discrimination than senior managers. So a lot of work we have to do with you as senior managers. Women engineers, as the results highlighted, have a positive effect on the efficiency of the company and the working environment. Yes, because I don't know, maybe we are sensitive, we try to facilitate sometimes communication, and so it could be interesting from the study resulted to have, for example, some facilities for the women with children that could have a great effect on their satisfaction of work. So the conclusion of the work of Mandana was that measures needed to be taken to unleash the potential of women engineers. The good news, yes, there is a good news too, is that some progress has been made to date. The progress are at the big scale, so I can consider as a progress that we have a Sustainable Development Goal, number 5, on gender equality and women empowerment, that the new urban agenda of Habitat 3 include gender equality as a key issue for the urban sustainable development, that there is a gender equality strategy made up by the Council of Europe. For me, as European, it's a great success. There is an Equality Act, because in UK they are moving. It is interesting to note that, to say that in UK, in India, so UK and Asia are the very, very stronger women working on that issue. So that Equality Act, for example, supported gender equality by showing data, simply publications of reports, and then we start to talk of it. So the first European Council of Gender Equality is emerging now, and in general, there is the good news that there is our awareness on the topic growing among women and men. So for me, for us, as EP, women in engineering, there are still some challenges to face. Stop discrimination, indirect or direct, raise opportunity for recruitment, but mainly managerial position, increase chance of career progressions, gaining equal salary, improve the work-life balance, increase chance of being asked and heard during the important meetings, and gain professional trust and recognition of authority. What can we do? So how to close this gap? From ILO, the International Labour Organization, they said that the labour market requires comprehensive measures tailored to women, and it's very important for the welfare of society. So some suggestions, some tips, some things that we can do to start on working it is creating a behavioral change to an inclusive and respectful attitude, simply an attitude, by actively raising the awareness in gender equality, practically, starting doing surveys, as the UK has made, doing a focus group on awareness, team building session, involving senior managers. Yes, because as Mandana said in the study, among the employees is growing the awareness, but we have to involve also the senior management in the process and make so data available and providing maybe financial incentive and pay parity, inviting women to participate actively in the decision-making processes, not just to stay and see, but to talk. Offer position of leadership, yes, because there are no open positions for women, actually, just to join the 50%, not to be at the other side. There is no competition, we need collaboration. So having male leaders championing the careers also of female engineers, it could be another strategy. Why? Because engineering won't attract the best talent until it sorts out its inclusion and diversity issue, as said the director of Royal Academy of Engineering. So we need to work as a team, hand in hand, to achieve gender equality in our engineering sector. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you. So what we saw there has a number of items where if we don't pay attention to the data or make the assumptions, I heard a report earlier this week that without hard numbers, generally our assumptions are about double of what the numbers actually are. So getting that data is very important, and that opportunity is critical for our industry. On the flip side, if we don't have the proper data, we can also get into waste. So that's how we're going to get into our next subject here, of banishing the status quo of waste and missed potential in design and managing of our projects. So I have two bios here. One is for Dr. Ahmed Stifi, and the other is for Peter Mathis. Right, there you go. I don't have to speak Italian anymore, right? All right. Dr. Ahmed from Germany is a senior consultant and project manager by Codema International, an engineering consulting company and part of the Rocher Group, a leading engineering consulting group in Germany. Ahmed holds a master's in civil engineering, and after 5 years of international work experience for CDM Smith at a large-scale construction project, he attended the research team of the Karl Rusch Institute of Technology in 2012 as a senior research associate and lecturer in the Institute of Technology and Management in Construction. In 2017, he received his PhD in construction management with highest honors. Ahmed is an active member of many engineering and international organizations. He's a member of the Association of German Engineers and a member of the German Nuclear Society, the German Lean Construction Institute, and member of the FIDIC Integrity Management Committee. And presenting with him is Peter Mathis, also from Germany, who holds a master's in civil engineering from the Technical University of Dresden in Germany and a master's in industrial business management. He is currently the director of an international projects, of multiple international projects and the head of the branch office in Dresden at the BPR. Dr. I'm gonna butcher this. I apologize. Shapratos Consultant GmbH and Co. KG. The BPR Group operates worldwide and offers qualified specialists for planning and integrated overall planning with interdisciplinary know-how. Through its corporate divisions of buildings, infrastructure, and environment, it renders consulting and design services in almost every field of construction engineering, project management, and construction management as well complement the scope. Peter has more than 15 years of extensive consulting experience in design and management of infrastructure projects in Germany and around the world. Peter is an active member of many engineering and international organizations. He's a member of the Association of the Consulting Engineers of Germany and is a founding member of the YP Group within the Consulting Engineers of Germany. He's a member of the EFCA Young Professional Steering Committee and a member of the Saxony Chamber of Engineers. So please join me in welcoming
Thank you very much, Michael. And German is also as difficult as Italian, I'm assuming. But before we start actually with our presentation about lean construction, I'm very honored to also welcome you all on behalf of the German Young Professional Group within VBI, which is the German Association of Consulting Engineers. But even I'm more delighted to welcome you all on behalf of the FK-YP Group. You know all, FK is FIDIC within Europe, and the FK Young Professionals are active for around 11 years already, and chosen this event here in Berlin to actually have their new steering committee voted and the new chair tomorrow. And I hope I see some of you at least at this event. But now we start with the presentation. And I guess some of you already ask, and I see some question marks, what is lean construction? Yeah. Do we need actually something new in our industry? What is the need to improve of our projects? And I will answer that a little bit later. But please remember when you saw the last headlines of big or mega projects in the newspapers, in the internet, I guess all of you have some projects in mind which are running out of costs and in time. And we have here some figures from Europe about big infrastructure projects, for instance the tunnel between Europe and England, which costs more than 80% more than it was calculated at the beginning, or other important infrastructure projects in Scandinavia, which also runs over the cost estimation at the beginning. Now I have a question. Please raise your hands, everybody who landed actually in Berlin yesterday or the day before by airplane. I guess a lot, yeah. And who actually arrived at the new and international Berlin airport? No one, yeah. No wonder, because the airport is not operating yet. It's the big famous joke in Germany here. But unfortunately, it's not a joke. It was supposed to be opened in 2011. And at that time, it should cost 2 billion euro approximately. And at the end of 2017, the costs run up to 6 billion. And nobody, actually nobody from the airport or from the politics, is able to announce any date when the airport will be opened. But we also have some other projects from around the world, and Prashant, maybe don't be angry about me. This is some facts and figures here from India, from the Ministry of Statistics and Planning, which shows us that, yeah, more than 50% of the big projects in India are also not on time, on schedule, finished. So coming back to the first question, to the question mark, why we need actually lean construction, it's exactly because of this. We have big, huge projects which are running out of costs, which are running out of time, and I'm a very good host. In Germany we have both, running out of time and costs. But why is this, you may ask yourself? And it's because the productivity of our industry is very low in comparison to other industries. You see here on the left side a figure. The red line is for the construction industry, and you see that in the 1960s our parents and grandparents finished their projects more or less on time and on budget, And what we do now, 50 years later, we don't even fulfill this level 50 years ago. Yeah? And the gap, I don't like to speak about the gap between the other industry, which is the blue line. Yeah, and the reason is that we are not very productive with our time. If we analyze this situation a little bit more, the other industry, productive industry, have a much higher efficiency in their productivity. And here actually is where lean construction starts, and I'm very glad that also this start my colleague and friend Ahmed with his part of the presentation.
Hello everybody. Thank you, Vida, again. Thank you, Mike. Actually, the concept of reducing the lead time by systematic elimination of waste is the concept of lean. And we owe actually this concept to the father of lean, engineer Ono from Japan. And how can we define actually lean or lean management? First of all, lean management is a collective term for different tools, instruments, and philosophy to optimize a business process. And the main aspects are the customer focus and cost reduction. The focus of lean actually lies on the value and adding value. And a feature part for the implementation of lean, however, is the involvement of employees in your organization. To sum it all these 4 points, we can see that lean management is only about adding value. And how we can actually define adding value? Adding value is only about value increasing activity. In this context, lean, adding value activity from customer point of view. Please consider this point. And in this context, lean construction show your organization the way how to remove non-added value activity, and which is in the same time the waste in your process. In that way, and without exaggeration, we can see that lean can be applied to all business area. But how we can apply lean? Well, by simply following the lean principle. This 5 lean principle is the value, specify the customer value, then value stream, which means you specify also the added value and non-added value activities. And the third one is the flow, where you allow the value creating activity to flow through your process. To achieve this flow, we don't need only to remove unwanted steps and the waste in the process. The next principle in lean is the pull, which means nobody produce anything, any product prior to previous order. Perfection is the last one in lean, and perfection in lean is seeking to reduce effort, time, space, cost, and associated with production process. And that is actually what these 2 gentlemen, Professor Koskela and Ballard, did back in 1990s when they implemented the lean construction principle to our construction industry. Sure, due to the complex of our construction industry and the special condition, this implementation could not be able one-to-one implementation. So, lean construction consists from 2 parts: the theory of production from Koskela, and the last planner system is the practice part. And so we can define lean construction as a way to design production system aiming to reduce waste in material, in material, time, and effort, and increase the value. Furthermore, if you see in a simple word, Koskela, in his theory, regards the construction process, our construction process, as a production process. You can imagine your construction manager as production manager. Here is the point. And according to Ballard, the last planner system is the planning and controlling system of this production process. If you see here short, that is the classical management concept, what we know, let's say like the critical path. And with the last planner system, we have two new components, which is the will and can, and this is actually the pull system in construction, in lean construction. The knowledge area, actually, in lean construction, or one have to be aware that lean construction cover all of these disciplines. If we speak now from BIM, what is also important for FIDIC nowadays is really a tools integrated in lean construction. I would like actually here to give again more consideration about the waste in lean construction. As a member of Integrity Management Committee by FIDIC, and the same time also as member of the International Lean Construction Group, the lean expertise before introduced or identified 8 numbers or types of waste in our construction industry. What we actually did, we introduced the number 9, and that is for you, as you say, corruption. We introduced corruption as a core waste in lean construction. Doing that, we have then more tools from what we have in the best practice now in the, fighting corruption, like our integrity management system here by FIDIC, and you see now it is a tools in lean construction. And this is like the body of knowledge area of lean. There is cost management, contract management. We have also the sustainability management, and if we consider again the corruption and the integrity management, you see the similarity with FIDIC activity. Yes, last but not least, I would like to call you to this slide from McKinsey, who was in Dubai 2015, where they prove that lean construction reduce the cost by 10% and the delivery time of our infrastructure project by 30%. To put it in a nutshell, I'm quoting from my professor, with lean construction, everyone wins, except those who live from waste. Thank you.
Awesome. And with one eye on the clock here, we are going to go quickly through the next one here, Cosmin. So I will now introduce Dr. Cosmin Tabolcha. See, my butchering of Italian and German has cost us extra time, so it's the waste here. Anyway, sorry, from Romania, Dr. Cosmin, PhD, is General Manager at Protobi. Cosmin has graduated with his PhD in Civil Engineering in the SI Technical University of Romania and has over 13 years of experience in project implementation in Romania and internationally. He was involved in many projects as an engineering supervisor and a consultant advisor in the field of water and wastewater infrastructure. He's published 17 papers in the last years at different technical and international conferences. He is a co-author of 11 technical books in the field of engineering and consulting in water and wastewater infrastructure. Currently, he is one of the leading general manager in Protobi, one of the leading engineering and consulting companies in Romania, providing services in planning, design, consulting, and management of water and wastewater infrastructure. He's working on FIDIC contracts, working with FIDIC contracts, red and yellow, for projects financed by the European Union. He's also the Vice Chair of the FIDIC Young Professional Steering Committee and the incoming Chair, and also a member of the FIDIC Sustainable Development Committee and Vice President of the ARIC, which is the Romanian FIDIC Member Association. Please.
Yeah. Is there a clicker? And yeah, perfect. This is a clicker. Yeah? Thank you, Michael. Your Romanian also is very good. Good day, ladies and gentlemen. And because we are in Germany, I would like to say, and now Peter maybe can help me if I'm wrong, Guten Tag, meine Damen und Herren. It's an honor and a pleasure for me to be here, to be speaking in the second Young Professional Symposium. For us, it was a very hard but very productive year, as Jomana presented before. So, let's go to my presentation. The topic that I choose is the use of technology in smart cities, and the subtopic is smart water with smart technologies. But now a few things about the smart cities. What I can tell you is that in the present moment, the smart cities are not a future wave. They are here because now the Internet of Things is developing and expanding and helping municipal services around the globe. Some numbers, because we are engineers and we like to work with numbers, is that according to McKinsey report, until 2020, the smart city industry is going to be $400 billion, with 600 cities which are going to produce around 60% of the world GDP. Also numbers. The United Nations provided a report that we are going to be in 2050 9.8 billion people. We are confronting now, according to the report, with a movement from the rural part to the urban part of the world. So imagine that 70% of the 9.8 billion people are going to live in the cities. Imagine your city. For example, my city, I'm living in a city in Romania of around 400,000 population. Imagine that in a few years, millions of people are going to live in your city. Imagine that even now we have problems with the water networks, with the energy networks, with the transportation system. Imagine what is going to happen if we are not going to take part and develop the system for the future. So, I found a very nice quote, and I would like for you to help me. I'm going to read it, the first part, and for you to read the second part. There's no smart city without smart people. This is very important. The smart people are the ones which are creating it and developing the smart cities. Going forward, why did I choose the topic of water and smart water? Well, there are two things. First thing is that water is the most important element of life. It's a constant reminder of life. It's the one that we see, the element that has a visible cycle. And the second one is, this is a personal story. I'm dealing with the water, what it means, networks and everything, since I was born. Because my father, who was and still is a professor at the Technical University from Iași, he taught water and wastewater systems. The idea is that 24, 25 years ago when he started the company, I think I was in the first year of high school. I remember that all my friends were going to the camp. And I went to my father and I said, okay, I need some money to go to the camp. And my father said, yes, but I'm not going to give it to you. You are going to work for it because we have a project now. At that time, he was the only employee of the company. Now we are over 100 in the company. And he said, because you are dealing, we started 24 years ago, I was working on the Word, Excel, I was starting in learning all this Office, let's say. And he said, okay, you are going to work for me, and you are going to get paid by the number of pages that you are producing, by the number of tables that you are producing. So this was my first project that I was involved. I still remember it. It was a water supply network for a small city. And this is how I started in being in love with this job, with the job of hydraulic engineer and process engineer, which I developed years afterwards. The idea of water and what is surrounding us is because the smart water, how is it called now, is one of the 6 components that define a smart city. The other components are, as it is on the screen, the energy, mobility, buildings, public services, and integration. Our cities are in the present moment, according to the Water Smart City, are integrating urban planning as the urban water cycle and makes a good business out of it for society as a whole. Now our cities are the ones which are draining the rainwater and the wastewater, taking out of the boundaries and bringing inside from rivers or well fields the water necessary for the population. But what we do not realize is that each drop of water is very important for our lives, and each drop of water costs a lot if we do not know how to improve it and how to make a very good management of the system. What defines a water smart city? A water smart city has different approaches. First, you have to identify challenges and opportunities. The second one, and very important, is to define water smart city vision. It's a crucial step because it has this word vision inside. I remember that yesterday night we had a discussion between the FK young professionals, and the most important word last night was this, vision. What is our vision in order to go forward? The first step is to explore the opportunities. The fourth is to co-design solutions, to define the business cases, and of course, to implement and evaluate the system. Technological innovations now are offering a hope for this sector, because now we have different technologies and different systems that we are using in order to gather a lot of data. The idea is, and I put on the screen a picture from one of our recent projects. It's a city of 75,000 population, which now is totally controlled because we have on all the field, on all the networks, it's equipped with sensors and bringing data. In order, because the water agency wanted to know how to improve the system, how to detect where is the leakage, what to do in order to have a better system of working. Smart technologies that we use for the smart water, they are highly efficient and they enable a change in the water domain. Step by step, you see it every day that something new appears in the field, new technologies, new sensors that are permitting us to learn much more about these things. Now we have smart sensors on the pipes that gives us the ability to detect leaks, to measure water-related data. We have the rainfall, the pH, the temperature, turbidity, flow, pressure, and even the contamination levels of the water inside. Water is the main resource and the basic thing for all. We cannot live without water, but when using the water, we don't know how to maintain it properly. This is why we are doing now, and what we are doing is by improving all the systems, by providing sensors and collecting data which is sent forward by the wireless devices to the cloud. Because in order for this, we have to know exactly how we can analyze it and statistically how we can improve our smart water management system. The idea and the objective is to increase the efficiency in terms of cost, energy, and resources in order to have a smart water priority area. And in the end, I would like to, it's a quote that I liked it a lot, where it's written by Ismail Seralgeldin, and he said that the wars of the 21st century will be fought over water. Thank you very much, danke schön, and I wish you all a great conference.
Oh. Now I've done it. There we go. All right, now because we have run over time and obviously we have answered all of your questions that you could possibly have, we're going to cut out the question and answer period because I'm allowed to do that because I'm moderating. So please join me in a big round of applause for all of our speakers. And there we go. Dankeschön. And thank you for putting up with my butchering of Italian, Romanian, and German. Thank you.